Hi folks, it's David O here in sunny Karmiel. It's an appropriate time to talk to you. This week is the week of Parsha Lech Lecha. Go for yourself, says God to Abraham. It was a year ago, almost exactly, that we arrived here in Karmiel on our journey. What's the point of this Parsha? It's often a Parsha identified with Aliyah. Go from a distant place to a land that I will show you. And of course we know what that land is. That land is Israel. What's it about? Why didn't God say, go to Israel, go to Canaan? Who was Abraham? Strange choice, really. Abraham was a 75-year-old man, married to an infertile wife, and the son of an idol maker, idol worshiper, idol maker. Interesting choice to found the Jewish people. And what was the timing? You know, God began as a very universal God, that the Adam and Eve they weren't Jews, they were Adam and Eve. They were the founding husband and wife, mother and father of humanity. And we know that that plan A, an ideal plan in the Garden of Eden, where all was taken care of, failed. Plan B came with Noah and his generation. And Hamas, this kind of theft, this I philosophy, failed. God virtually destroyed the world with the flood. Plan C, the generation after the flood, no longer was separated, was completely unified. Oops, unified in the wrong direction. The Tower of Babel reduced the unity. And finally, Plan D, a subset of the human race based on two individuals, Sarai and Avram. And God selected them, or maybe perhaps they selected God. And God said that my journey with humanity will continue with you. And your journey will be joined to mine. So you need to start fresh. You have the materials required to do what I need, to be the flag bearer for my plan. But it'll never work in Ur-Kasdim, the capital of black magic. Powerful, real magic, but the wrong kind. And so you must now separate yourself from all that you have been thus far. You have to leave your father's house. You have to leave the place of your birth. You have to leave your land and journey. Journey to a place that I will show you. You know, there are some things that you can't describe. One of the most dramatic things for somebody like myself who grew up without any kind of Orthodox background is the idea of keeping Shabbos. One day a week, there's a million things you can't do. You can't shop, you can't watch TV, you can't go to the football game. There's all kinds of things. You can't drive, you can't turn the lights on and off, you can't cook. It goes on and on and on. So what's so good about this? Try it. And what happens is that many people who go to visit somebody who is Shomer Shabbos, who keeps Shabbos, suddenly sees a different world, a world unrelated to the world he lives in 7 days a week. This separation of Shabbos can't really be described in a favorable way. It has to be experienced. And so one would say about Eretz Yisrael. God doesn't describe to him a land flowing with milk and honey. God just simply says, you go to the land that I will show you. There you will become a great nation, the father of many nations. very improbable. He's 75. His wife is a bit younger. They're infertile. They've wanted to have children. They haven't had them. But promises are being made now by God, and God can do the impossible. And so Abraham journeys. He goes from Ur Kasdim to Haran, where his father Terach dies, and then he goes on with Sarah to Canaan. And really, it's the beginning of our story. And at this point, it's not the story of a religion. Before it was a religion, it was a family. He will have a surviving son, Yitzchak, who will have a son, Yaakov, who will have the 12 tribes. And so Judaism begins maybe first as an idea, second as a family, and only third as a religion, per se. What is it with this land, Israel? Lech Lecha. It's not just Lech. It's go for yourself. That is to say, I'm telling you to go, says God, but know that I'm telling you to go for yourself. It's not just for me, it's for yourself. And this is true of everybody who considers Aliyah. And I want to talk about the nature of Aliyah because it's very connected. It's an onward journey. All life is a journey. Some of it is physical, some of it is spiritual. But it is a continuing journey. When you think the journey is ended, you're wrong. It never ends. It goes on as long as you go on. And everything that you touch along that way, you change. And everything that touches you changes you. And the question is, how does the filtering work? You know, when my father, Oliver Shalom, passed away many, many years ago, more than 50 years ago now, I was young and confused, and I asked my mother, what happens to Dad now? It was a very difficult thing for me to grasp, to be part of. And she said, well, physically he has died and he'll be buried. But he lives forever. Lil Mace is what the Torah says about Yaakov. Didn't die, but Yaakov was buried. My mother went on to say that your father continues to live in those that he touched, the people he worked with, the people he played with, his friends, but most of all, his children, and his wife, of course. That those things that he was, that were the greatness of him, would flow through us and continue in this world. And so it is for each one of us. As we stop along the way and touch those that are close to us and those maybe that we just meet incidentally, we make impressions, and impressions are made on us. And so it is that everything changes. You know, there's a saying, you can't step into the same river twice. The water that is in front of you at this moment passes, and it's a new river that you step into. And so it is. My wife and I have been fortunate later in life to make this decision, Lech Lecha, to come to the land of Israel, to Karmiel. And it's been, thank God, a wonderful decision. We've been able to do what Abraham could do, but Moshe didn't get to do. What a privilege. Way beyond our worthiness. And we have seen the Shabbos of the land. Just as you can't explain Shabbos to somebody who doesn't experience it, you can't really explain Israel to somebody who hasn't experienced it. It is a living place. Everything about it is alive. It's an entity. and it is touched with holiness everywhere. Not just the people, but the sounds of the birds, the cats looking at the lizards. You know, everything is different. And we've had the pleasure of being part of it. Not all of you who are watching this will get this opportunity. But if you do, grab it. Grab it, take it, do it. You'll not regret it. Israel was made for you. Today I was visiting the doctor. I had something to deal with. And she asked my wife in Russian, because she spoke Hebrew and a little bit of English. My wife speaks a lot of Russian and a little bit of Hebrew and a lot of English. It was very confusing. But at the end, she said, as we were leaving her office, the doctor said, "Welcome home. Your home waits for you. Some of you will get here, some of you won't. But make the effort. You won't regret it. Lech Lecha. Go for yourself. Good Shabbos. Shabbat Shalom." David O. and Karmiel.